Badass women and those in training. Hey there, join me, your host, Vickie Nevins, a lifelong badass, as we explore conversations with unique, interesting, and extraordinarily fierce women who found squeezing lemons and sporting rose-colored glasses as a way to survive, overcome, and thrive through all of life's challenges. Badass women and those in training. May we know them, may we see them, may we raise them. Are you a badass or are you in training? Tune in and let's talk.
Hey there, it's time for another dynamic episode of Badass Women and Those in Training. I'm your host, Vickie Nevins, and today we're squeezing lemons and sporting the rose-colored glasses with my fun, fearless, feisty guest. Not just a singer with a voice that can melt your heart and set your soul on fire, but she is also a dynamic realtor who's been making waves in the sunny state of Florida and beyond because she's international. And she has a tremendous sense of humor. So without further ado, let's welcome the woman who brings the sunshine from Florida right to your ears with none other than Laura Lala Key. Hi, Lala. Thanks for joining us today.
Oh, I'm so tickled to be here. I couldn't sit in my seat. I feel like I needed to stand up and go, wow.
Yeah, me too. So tell us, was it easy to get on this morning? What obstacles have you already faced?
Oh man, just in today, they decided that they wanted to cut off the electricity in the neighborhood. So for the last 4 hours, we've been in darkness with no internet. And of course, where I am right now on a hill, there's no internet reception at all. So I couldn't even use my phone to contact you. So the whole time I was like, oh God, Vickie, I'm so sorry. I was hoping that you were feeling my energy like I'm coming.
I was feeling it. I was trying to call you and I was like, it's not going through. So woo-hoo, here we are.
Yes, we are.
So you ready for your first question?
I am.
Okay, Lala, let's jump right into it. Are you a badass or are you in training?
I feel like I've stepped into my badass just recently. I believe that my whole first part of my life was training. And right around the age of 50, because I'm 53 now, I decided that I wanted to just make a change. I was 285 pounds. I was carrying not just weight, but a lot of that was emotion and trauma. And I decided that I didn't want to carry that anymore for the rest of my life. So it was like a light switch. I never will forget, it was December 9th, 2019, when I woke up that morning and said, no more. No more. I'm not waiting to start a Monday for another diet. I'm not waiting to step into what I want to do for the rest of my life because I've let other people decide for me. Seeing all the other badass women out there doing their thing, me sitting on the sidelines. So I don't know what it was in me that clicked at that time, but when it clicked hard, and I started to drop the weight. I got dedicated and I started doing things that I've always wanted to do and didn't think that I could. Pick up the guitar, still learning that. I started singing more and just decided that I didn't want the rest of my life to be one where I will look back and go, I wish I woulda, shoulda, coulda. So I believe I've stepped into the badass, and hopefully I'm putting an example out for the younger generations to not wait so long.
Yeah, I can believe that you just stepped out into it, but you have always been a badass.
When I look back, I go, yeah, I guess that was pretty badass.
And so when I say badass woman, what does that mean when you hear that?
Stepping out of the traditional roles that people want to put you in. There comes a time where you have to step out of that mold that other people set for you and train you to be in. When you are miserable in that mold, you're not living your purpose. And to me, being a badass is stepping out of that and being bold enough to say, nah, there's more out here for me and I know it.
I'm glad you said that, stepping out of that mold. Where are you at in the world today?
Today, I'm in Portugal. I am in beautiful, awesome Nazaré, Portugal. I'm building my real estate business here. I've gone international. I've always wanted to do that. When I stepped into real estate, I thought I wanted to do luxury. I wanted to do international. And I was always kind of afraid to step out there and do it. I was like, oh, I don't know if I know enough. And what I did find is I do love luxury. That's nice. I've done luxury homes, but my niche is definitely working with first-time people or people who have never done it before and who've never thought that they could. Because seeing somebody's face when you hand them the keys where they thought that they were never going to own a home, I don't care how many $1 million homes I sell, nothing compares to that. And being able to be a chapter in their life to look back on and say, I have my own home. So the other part of that was international, because I've always wanted to travel the world. And so my husband and I came to visit Portugal in 2022, just on a trip, fell in love with it. And of course, being me, I wanted to see all the properties that I could see. And we get to Little Nazaré and we walked down the hill to the ocean, and we ran into this gentleman who was a realtor here, and we got to talking, and he speaks English, and he was like, I don't have a partner for the US. And it was like, I was supposed to be here because we weren't supposed to stop here in Nazaré, but we got guided here by the universe. And then he said, let's do it. So in this last 7 months, I've been traveling back and forth, establishing business here.
And you heard the angels sing at that moment, didn't you?
Yeah.
You went, ah.
Yeah, I did. I really did. And you know what's interesting? That's when you have to learn to ignore all of what society has told you. Okay. Because a lot of times, I don't know, I'm second guessing myself. How many times do you have those little, the classic angel and devil? You shouldn't do this. Yes, you should. No, you shouldn't. But when you let go and you go, I'm going with it, how many blessings open up from that you can't even imagine?
Exactly. Give yourself permission to say yes to the opportunities. You don't have to say yes to an opportunity forever.
That's right.
You haven't always had your voice that's as strong as you are. No. So when did you take ownership of your voice?
I would say solidly 50, just 3 years.
Isn't that something?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's an amazing feeling, isn't it?
It really is, because you always hear some people who, they know, I know people who've always stepped into their power, and I've always sat back on the sidelines and cheered them on. I'm the one with the pom-poms. But when you do it and you become the center stage, not that that's a bad thing. People always want to say that being the center is a bad thing. Oh, you just want attention. Oh, no, you're living your purpose. You have a purpose for being here, your journey, your everyday life. Everything is a life journey. You're recharging your batteries. And then there's some days that you shine bright, and there's others you need to step back and get recharged. So you have to understand that living your purpose is not always, look at me, look at me, look at me. It's not. It's also shining light for others.
That's right. Surrounding yourself with the people that lift you and push you out to where you nudge you a little bit further toward where you really want to go. The ones who take the time to invest in you, help you be that center balance.
Yes. You can tell when someone's not really stepping into that true power, and you can tell those who are definitely confident in it. But then again, it's not our place to judge it either.
Yeah. So there's that difference when you take possession of where you are, you own your own space.
That's right. But when you're in that space as well, I think it's important to share all of your moments with others. Now, there are some things that you keep to yourself. I don't say you have to tell all of your business, but there are some times where you do need to share things with others because they kind of need to hear it. Like today, I was feeling pretty down. I'm an empath. And so there's so much going on in the world right now that I had a big cry this morning. And after I got through with that cry, I was like, phew, okay, I got that off my chest. And now what am I going to do to make me happy? So at some point, you have to brush the tears and start shining the light. So it's important to let other people know that sometimes you have bad days too. And I did a post about that. I was like, look, there are days that I don't feel good. And it's okay. And it's okay for you to not feel good too, because the way the world works right now, you got to be an influencer. You got to be good every day. You got to have $1 million house. No, I don't subscribe to that.
Nope, I'm sitting here in my motorhome in the corner of my dinette. The wind is blowing 40 miles an hour, and right before I hit the send the link to you, everything was not working. I couldn't get Zoom to work. I couldn't get Zoom to work on my computer. I couldn't get it to work on my tablet. I couldn't get it to work on my husband's phone. It wasn't working. And the more he was trying to make it work, the more it wasn't working. And it was like, I just have to do this.
Right.
I was falling apart. And I almost said, let's just reschedule. And I thought, stop it. I need to have your positivity around me.
And that's funny because here I am on this side of the world doing the same thing.
I know. That's why when you said that, I was like, oh my gosh, I was having a meltdown right before you said you were out of internet. And I was like, oh, hallelujah, you were out of internet. You weren't waiting on me. There's reasons. We aligned in very funny ways for many, many of the same reasons.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
my gosh. So tell us a little bit how you have found combining music and as a realtor, how you've been able to combine that. I mean, where did that come from? Because,
yeah, it's interesting. You would think they're
It's a-
two different things, and they were, because I never saw myself as being in a realtor role. I've always saw myself singing all the time, because I've been singing since the age of 3, and I started in church as a lot of us do. And I went to the Youth Performing Arts School in Louisville, Kentucky. That's where I met my husband. We were good friends during high school. But at the age of 16, I had a baby. And everyone told me that I could no longer travel the world and sing. And so I begrudgingly listened. And now in hindsight, you think to yourself, I could have done that so easy. But I went to a junior college, ended up just getting a word processing degree and being in corporate world for, until I was about 35. And at that time, I lost my last job. And I lost it not because of me. I always got downsized, or something weird would happen, or the business would close or something like that. But the last time, it was a small company, and the owner's wife, who had stopped working, decided she wanted to come back to work, and she wanted my job. So after being there for 5 years, she took my job, and I was like, I'm tired. I don't want to do this anymore. And so my father-in-law, who was in real estate, said, I'm just waiting for you to try this. And I was like, I don't know, Dad. I don't think I could do this. So I stepped into it at that time and found out that I loved it. So I focused a lot on, the first time home buyers and teaching classes. And I have a whole course, and I teach for down payment assistance programs, but I never stopped singing. But real estate allows me the time and my own schedule to take off, to do what I need to do, to travel the world with my husband when we have performances. So those two things go hand in hand for me, because it allows me the time and the opportunity to do my life purpose as well, which I still see being real estate being part of my life purpose, because it helps others. I think there must be something in our journey that also turns around to help others, whether it just be feeding them or feeding them spiritually. So that, with the world now opening and me being over here, I find myself singing more and combining the two.
I have learned how I balance all of my hats. How do you balance yours? How did you find a way to navigate using all of your gifts?
Well, I have to say, my husband, who is, when I truly say he is definitely my helpmate, he's my full-fledged partner. We help each other. So there are days where I'm so busy in real estate, I don't have time to sing. I don't have time to cook dinner. I don't have blah, blah, blah. So on those days, I just say, I need to hand this over to you, honey. And he gladly takes it. And on the days that he can't do the same, then I take it over. But then at some point, we always decide, at some point we shut it off and we come together, and sometimes we don't have to talk. We just breathe together. I think that's really, really important in my life, is to have that partnership where I have the freedom and the understanding that there are going to be busy days, and there are some days I'm not going to be able to sing and travel, and vice versa. There are some days he needs to do the opposite. Like his parents are aging. He knows that he has a life partner in me, that we take care of them, period. So that's a part of our life as well. So balancing, we laugh because there really isn't a balance, but what we do is we share the load. And that's important, to have someone that you can share the load with. And if you don't, you need to share the load with your me, myself, and I. At some point in a day, you must take care of yourself. Whether it's at the end of the night, you're eating popcorn and watching a movie to brush off the rest of the day, then that's what you need to do. But every single day, you need to do something that makes your heart sing, even if it's just for 10, 15 minutes. And that's what I do.
That's an excellent point. Excellent point. Me, myself, and I.
Mm-hmm. Right, right. And it's important. It just is for your whole mental aspect. It's important because you can take on so much that you're drowning, and then before you know it, you don't even know how to ask for help because you've so overloaded you can't speak. And that's a dark place to be. I mean, after I had my son, I was in that dark place many times. And when you can't open your mouth to ask for help, that's a very lonely place.
We did grow up in that era of,
yes,
you don't ask for help.
The thing that we were told also is you don't speak on such things. And so for many years, I didn't speak on those things. But the minute that I unloosed the shackles on these lips and started to speak about it, you would think that sometimes that would set you free, but in a way it also kind of put me in the shadows again, because when you do speak, not everyone around you is ready for you to do that. So sometimes you have to walk that path in the darkness with that little candlelight at the end just to get to the other side of the tunnel. And I've been there. And I just swore that I just wasn't going to do it again. So now sometimes if I'm the black sheep, oh, well, I'm the black sheep. Bah!
So be it.
So be it.
So be it. You know, I've bounced back so many times, my middle name's Rubber Band. So what?
Right. Exactly.
Throw me another curveball.
I love it. Yes.
I mean, you know, it's like when you know you're supposed to stand your ground, you know you're supposed to stand your ground. Yeah. Whether it's popular or not, you just know you're supposed to.
Yes.
Is there blood, sweat, and tears?
Yeah.
Yes.
And what they say, consequences be damned. Sometimes you just have to say that and go.
You know, you know.
Yep. Yep. I don't want to be like everybody else. I don't want to think like everybody else. I don't want my journey to be like everybody else. Why in the world would I want to just go, oh yeah, that was fun? I'd rather be like, what? That was crazy. And that's where I am right now. Who knew? Like 5 years ago, Portugal was never on my map. It was just crazy. But here we are.
What's on your horizons for 2024?
More singing. Gone back to my training, learning new things that I was always afraid to learn or never felt that I was really good at. I am developing my voice a little bit deeper and stepping out and doing some styles that I have always been kind of afraid of, and kind of letting my voice shine. But, you know, even within that, sometimes those little demon voices come up and say, you ain't good enough for that. But, you know, then once again, you have someone who loves you go, I don't know who's telling you them stories, but don't listen. My husband likes to say that when you're struggling, you live in Suckville. And Suckville is a place of growth. And so you grow in that Suckville, and then you move on to the next Suckville because you've mastered the first one. So there's nothing wrong with being in Suckville. It's growth in Suckville. So that's what I'm doing. I've really been concentrating more, and now I do have more time building the businesses.
When you say you want to do more with your music, what does that look like when Lala gets up in the morning?
Well, the first thing I do is I always sit and contemplate and give gratitude for the day. So then after I've had my coffee, I can go ahead and warm up my vocals. But I see myself singing out at places at least 2 to 3 times a week now. whether that is just a little restaurant or whether that is traveling with my husband, promoting, our music together because he's on his 5th album. And coincidentally, the last album was called Globetrotter. We recorded a song in like 13 different countries. And so that entails a lot of travel and shining the light of music. I'm already lining up some gigs to do, and that includes in Portugal as well as the United States.
Nice, really nice. As a woman in music and a woman in real estate, traditionally, a lot of times they are male dominated.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of unique challenges have you faced where you have maneuvered through that?
First of all, in music, well, just in general, men tend to want to overlook you. That has not been the case with my husband, but they overlook your voice, and you have to learn to speak up for yourself. And I have learned to develop my voice to speak up and no longer be that Minnie Mouse and go, but I'm strong. No, not today. that is the thing. And sometimes, Vickie, sometimes you have to be, and some people may not want to hear it, but it's the truth, but sometimes you just got to be that bitch. It doesn't mean you are one. It just means you have to step into it so that they say, oh, she's not playing. And that's when you have to step into a different attitude and really show that you're not playing around.
So let's think about you as a 16-year-old teenager.
Oh God.
What advice from you today would be good for you at 16 to get you from there to here without as much struggle?
Don't allow other people's perceptions of you to become your reality. I'm gonna let that sink in for a little bit.
Say it again.
Do not let other people's perceptions of you become your reality. It gives me goosebumps when I think about it. I would have taken so many different directions, and I'm not going to woulda, shoulda, coulda on that either. I had the direction that I went. There was a reason that I was, but I also look back in hindsight and go, yes, I could. Yes, I could have. Yes, I could have. But my life took me this way. So therefore, I will not let other people think that they can't do something when they know that they can. I won't be that voice of disappointment, and I will not be that negative voice. If you want to do something, you shall do it. If you want it bad enough, you're gonna get it.
Good advice. Good advice. Drop that mic. Drop it. So very good. It was like, boom, you just blew that one up. That's so true. And it's so very true, because we get in our head after we hear all these things. I mean, I had been told so many negative things growing up that it was stuck there, and I had to get rid of some of that debris, a lot of that debris.
Mm-hmm.
We all do. We all
Yes.
do.
Yes.
Knowing where you're wanting to go with your life, your career, your singing, all of these things. What advice do you, Lala, today want to give your future self to get yourself there?
Now I have to tell myself, you are good enough. You're more than good enough. You still carry some of those demons. And sometimes when I'm working on a song, just yesterday, I just couldn't get this one part. And I found myself going, I'm never going to get that. And immediately I said, no. You're going to put that down for a minute. You're going to go do something else. And you're going to come back and do it again. And you're going to master that. So don't listen to yourself sometimes, because the negative self can also be just as detrimental or more than other people telling you the same negative things. So you've got to break the mold of the negative thinking. And if you find yourself thinking negatively, you could switch it off as well. You just now need to learn to be aware of it. So when you become aware of saying something against yourself, unbreak that spell, because words truly are magic, and really switch your thinking around. And it's really not that hard once you start saying, I'm going to get up and I'm really going to listen to myself, talk to myself in my head. And when I hear something negative, I'm going to switch it. This includes, and this is powerful, this includes looking at yourself in the mirror, not going, oh, look at that, look at this. Ah. I want you to really look yourself in the mirror, like in your eyes, and you start telling yourself, I'm good enough. I'm great. I'm wonderful at this. I'm going to learn something today. And when you start looking at yourself, I'm telling you, those chains start breaking off. Some days it's harder than others, but you got to do it.
You do. You do. You do. You do. In fact, I love the way you framed that as, you're telling yourself you're not good enough. That self-doubt, that sabotaging, that imposter syndrome. We all have it. It creeps into all of us. It comes in, but we don't have to stay there. And you snapped your finger and you gave yourself permission to say, stop that now. You are enough. You have enough. You can do it. So just do it. So just do it. You
do it for other people all the time. If your boss comes in and tells you you're going to do something and your job depends on it, you're going to do it. Right? So why not translate that into your own personal life? That's no different. It's no different. We perceive it as different, but it's not. It's the same thing. You can do it.
If we would allow ourselves to do as much for ourselves as we do for our jobs, the world would be a different place.
Yes.
If you and I ran the world, it would be a different place.
It sure would.
We'd be singing all the time. Oh my gosh. And I want to be perfectly clear. Have we ever spoke to each other before?
No.
We have never met.
No.
And we've never spoken. We've only been keyboard friends.
That's right. That's right. So don't let people tell you can't develop relationships with the keyboard, because you can. And I think a lot of us learned that during COVID, I have friendships all over the world because of this one little thing called Periscope. Periscope was big on Twitter. It was a live streaming app, and I have friends everywhere. I have friends that I've actually ended up meeting and hugging, but we had 2 and 3 years relationships before that. So open your horizons. You've got people out there that are dying to meet you.
Absolutely. Your people are everywhere. They don't have to be in your hometown. They're everywhere. Find them. They'll find you. Just be open to those possibilities. And that's exactly what I'm doing with the Chamber of Women Entrepreneurs and Badass Women and Those in Training, is taking this community and people who meet us here on this community, where they can meet us in real life at our events and really see us and know that we are the same here as we are there.
Yes.
And that is authentic, original, and organic.
Yes. Yes.
In a world of copycats, let me just preach that a little bit. In a world of copycats,
that's right.
Change the world that way. Be authentic in the real sense of the word.
Right. Which the world keeps trying to tell you need to do, like all these influencers. Okay, well, you're an influencer in your own right. You ain't got to be somebody else's influencer. You ain't got to follow their pattern, because your people are there. Your people are there and they're looking for someone to connect with. They're there. All you got to do is open up your energy to the right people.
Exactly. And in conclusion, what advice would you like to give as a takeaway for everybody who happens upon our podcast?
I always like to say, and this is how I usually end any of my broadcasts, is why not go out on a limb? Isn't that where the fruit is? You got to take the risk to get the reward. And the sooner that we install that into our wee little ones to grow up knowing that it's okay to take those risks. You see, it's not just us. When we decide to go out on that limb, we pass that fruit down to the next generation.
Yes. Amen. Amen. Mm-hmm. You are the example. So be the example. Until our next episode. with Badass Women and Those in Training, where we're squeezing lemons and sporting the rose-colored glasses. I want to thank Lala today for joining us and bringing out the badassery in all of the future ladies of the world.
That's how we join forces. We put our elbows together and we link. That's what we have to do. That's what helps us.
That's right. You have a fine afternoon.
You
What's
too.
left of it.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining me today for a little fun. It's all about squeezing lemons and sporting rose-colored glasses on all kinds of topics for all of you fabulous fearless friends. That's it for today. So until our next conversation, this is Vickie Nevins, your host of Badass Women and Those in Training. Real conversations with extraordinarily fierce women and so much more. Thank you for watching. In addition to all of the podcast hosts, you can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. To catch all of our upcoming episodes, remember to like, follow, and subscribe.